Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Rangers Review morning briefing for Friday, the 22nd of December. I'm Derek Clark, and I'm joined this lovely Friday by Chris Jack. How are we getting on, Chris?
Not too bad, Derek. Not bad. I think this is our last morning briefing before Christmas. I
Certainly
don't
is.
think we're on next Monday. Not on next Monday morning, are we?
No, we're absolutely not on next Monday morning, that's for sure. So sorry to disappoint you all, folks. We'll be off for a couple of days, Christmas Day and Boxing Day. So huge apologies for that. I'm sure you can understand. Sorry, incidentally, for being a bit late this morning. My laptop decided to pack in. So I had to restart and update as you do. But we're here now to talk all things Rangers. Before we do that, just a quick word for our podcast sponsors, the great guys at the MPH Group. If you're looking for some home improvements, then these are the guys to call. The all-important links are in the description below. They've got a brilliant winter promotion on just now where you can upgrade your boiler. They've got a great deal, flexible finance options, parts and labour warranty as well. And every service you opt for automatically enters you into a fantastic giveaway, 7-night stay at the luxurious Moon Palace Resort over in Cancun in Mexico. So as I mentioned, if that is something you're thinking of, then click on the links below. Right, Chris, big game coming up on Sunday. We'll hear from Philip Clement a little later on and whatever player Rangers put up for the press ahead of the Christmas Eve trip to Fir Park. 12 o'clock kickoff, folks, on Sunday. Expecting Motherwell to be bang up for this, Chris. They normally are when Rangers come calling. It's important after the good work that was done on Wednesday night that Rangers continue that under the manager. However, he has some puzzles to solve in terms of team selection. We'll get a better idea, I'd imagine, today about who is available for the game. John Lundstrom and Kemar Roofe came off on Wednesday night. Let's hope that they will be back soon, more so in Lundstrom's case, I think, more than anything else. There's others that we're hoping to come back. Ryan Jack is one. Nico Raskin, hopefully we'll get a bit of an update on him as well. But he's scraping the barrel in terms of players at this moment in time and then trying to play players in positions and maybe not comfortable in. I'm thinking of Dujon Sterling as one, Chris. I'd imagine he'll be playing in midfield on Sunday. If John Lundstrom isn't fit, Kieran Dill, I'd imagine, would be likely to come in and keep his place in the team. But it's something that the manager is going to have to solve for Sunday.
We'll do our teams and we'll have them on the website tomorrow morning after the 1 o'clock start for the press conference later on. I think the players, player at 1, manager at 1:30. So once we've got the team news, we'll also do our predictions. So many times this season, Derek, we've done that, and there's been a bit of a debate over who plays in the midfield, what's the makeup of your front three. It kind of picks itself right now, and not in a good way. The team doesn't pick itself because there's 11 guys all absolutely fit, firing, flying, and picking up results. The team are picking up results, but the side picks itself almost because it's the 11 guys that are fit. It's the 11 guys that you can actually put on. There's not a lot of options there. Also, the midfield is a huge concern. To lose Raskin when we did was a blow. To then have that followed up with Tom Lawrence coming back and being out, Ryan Jack being out, Cifuentes then being suspended and picking up a knock as well. And then see Lundstrom go off on Wednesday night. It's no wonder the manager was somewhat irked by the challenge and upset by the situation that he's been left with. It's not good, but it looks like there's every chance it's Sterling and Kieran Dill as a midfield pairing for the foreseeable and potentially heading into the Old Firm game. If anyone had predicted that a fortnight ago, if you could send me the lottery numbers for Christmas, that'd be smashing, because nobody would have foreseen this. Now, Rangers have had injury problems over the last couple of seasons. Both Michael Beale and Gio suffered through that, but it's hard to think of a time when they've had as many players out in the one area of the team. So it's obviously not a good one for the manager. It's a really difficult situation, but the team has shown that they can win games in adversity. Nobody thought they would go to Seville and get a win last week. They managed it. To then follow that up with the cup final win was great. Followed it up with not a brilliant performance against St Johnstone, but a really, really important 3 points. So they are showing that even though their options are limited, there'll be guys that are tired, guys that are undoubtedly playing through knocks, guys that probably need a rest. They're finding ways to win matches, and when we come to Fir Park on Sunday, it's just another one of those occasions. Performance doesn't really matter. Get another 3 points on the board, keep things ticking over, and we can then look forward to next week.
Yeah, absolutely. It will be intriguing to see how Rangers will line up. A few comments come in on Lundstrom, incidentally. Born a Bear says, the fact that Lunny played on until half-time gives me hope he'll be okay for the Old Firm game. Yeah, he did carry on. It was whether he's antagonised those ankle ligaments. It's enough to bring him off at half-time in the game against St Johnstone. Yeah, but we'll all be crossing our fingers that we hear a good prognosis from the manager when we hear from him later on. Tam McCann says, starting with Dowell in centre midfield and Dessers up top at Parkhead is giving me the fear. In PC we trust, though. The up top position as well, Chris. They're now relying, I'd imagine, on Cyril Dessers playing pretty much every minute of every game up until the January transfer window, when Rangers will surely bring in reinforcements. It remains to be seen what the situation is with Kamar Roof. What's your thinking with regards to that? Are we going to see him again in the near future, do you reckon?
Well, we see Kamar. Hopefully, I would like to see him again, because I think he is a good player. But as I've said so often, it's how many games can you get out of him. I think myself and Josh spoke post-match on Wednesday night. I said, you have to feel sorry for Roof. It's not a case of he wants to be missing these games. He doesn't want to be missing big domestic games, big European games. When he came in and he got his goal last Thursday in Seville, when he spoke to him in the mix zone, you could tell how much it meant to him. You could tell how pleased he was to be back, to be playing in games of that magnitude again. Gets his start a couple of days later, last 15 minutes, and I think his reaction when he went off the pitch told you just how frustrated he was, how disappointed he was, how, I dare say, he'll be angry with himself that he's, again, at a time when the team really need him, he's not going to be available. Hopefully, we'll try and find out at the press conference later on. Hopefully, it's not a bad one. If he just misses Sunday, but he's in back for next midweek, and then hopefully back for the Old Firm game, that'd be great. But the way that he came off and his reaction probably tells you that it could well be another. It could be another bad one, unfortunately. So it does, as you say, Derek, it does leave us with Big Dessers up front. He's got a couple of goals in the last couple of games. He's come on to a bit of scoring form. I think his overall form is still questionable. Some of his overall contributions are also still not that great. There's still big questions over him, but he's a guy that's going to be needed, and he's got a huge chance now to make himself a hero. If he can get a couple of goals in these couple of games and get an Old Firm winner at Parkhead, there's no better way to turn around a fairly shaky first half of the season. I think it's at 9th of the season he's on now. So if he can get to 10, 11, 12 during this run, what a way that would be to end the first half of the season for him.
Yeah, he is coming into a bit of form, it's fair to say. I think 5 league goals of his 6 have come under the new manager as well. So, Rangers will be relying on Big Cyril to lead the line for the foreseeable, I'd imagine. We'll get an update on Kamar at some point this afternoon, but as has been the case for much of his time at Rangers, he's not someone you can hang your hat on and rely upon. Unfortunately, lots of points coming in with regards to it. There was one that, incidentally, we've talked on videos before, Chris, about the possibility of a Dallas Sima through the middle. Bluebells are blue says there is always the option to play Sima number 9. Not sure Dessers has 90 minutes in him at every game. I don't think, well, he doesn't have 90 minutes in him every game. We'll start, we've got Sunday, then we've got the game on Wednesday, Ross County come to Ibrox, then a trip across the city on the 30th, culminating in Kilmarnock coming to Ibrox on the 2nd of January. Other potential options then, Chris, Sima through the middle at some point. Matondo I've seen mentioned as well as a possibility through the middle. Is there any others?
Can we get Joe Aribo back and he can play as the false 9 again? It's kind of getting to that stage. If Sima could play wide left and centre forward all at the same time, that'd be smashing. I think that's a good suggestion to play Nima to play Sima, sorry, in that role. But you're then asking a lot of him because he's going to really have to churn through the game time over this run as well. I wouldn't be surprised if we do see him moved into that position. So maybe you give Dessers an hour on Sunday, shift Sima into the centre, and then that gives you Matondo perhaps on that left hand side. But so you're then still asking a lot of Sima because you want him to then start right, left, or through the middle against Ross County as well. He's going to then have to start against Celtic because he's one of the key threats in the side. He has shown that he can get through a power of work. That's certainly one of his main qualities. He's put in a lot of really good shifts over the last couple of weeks. So I think he's more effective from that left hand side. I don't think there's any doubt about that. That coming in from that side, he's got a lot of goals, a lot of assists, a big contribution from that position. But you then look at the rest of the squad. There's very, very few options, and because we have no midfielders, there's not even a Joe Aribo type that you can say, look, we'll just push someone up a line and ask him to try and hold the ball up and ask him to be that notional centre forward, because we don't have enough guys to actually fill the middle of the pitch. So it's not easy for the manager, but as he said a few times, he's the guy that finds solutions. He's not here to moan about the problems. So interesting to see what solutions he can come up with just to try and get Rangers. They just need to get to that Commandment game now, and as good a position as they can possibly get to, win that one, and then the break obviously offers Rangers a different chance.
Yeah, the Gears 56 with a point here. He says Lammers is number 9 as he's not great as a number 10. He's got 0 cutting edge in front of goal, so I wouldn't be doing that. But who knows what the manager's going to opt for? There was some interesting points just on the attacking side of things. James Skeen with the point: is there any youth players that can come in up front? I don't think there is. I know that Zach Lovely has posted an image on his Instagram that he's back on the grass, but don't think he's near to playing yet, and as a big ask to ask him to lead the line for Rangers in these upcoming games. There's no one that springs to mind, Chris, from the youth setup that I'd imagine will be flung in at the deep end.
No, I think it becomes I think, as we spoke about last week, it's a really big step up. It's not easy to make that transition from playing under-20s football to then going up and being asked to go and do a job at first team level. We've obviously seen Ross McCausland do it, and he's really taken his chance really impressively. But I think, again, he's in an area of the pitch where he can be dipped in and out. If he doesn't have a great game wide right, it doesn't have a huge impact on the side. I think it's different if you're putting someone in as the Rangers number 9. You're then relying on him to score goals. So I think it would be a big step up. I've not really seen MD in the match day squads. And the striking position has been light at times over the course of the season for various different issues. But we've not then seen MD from that youth side make the step up. We've seen obviously McCausland, I say, has come in, done really well. Leon King's in and around it. Cole McKinnon's in and around it. Aaron Lyle's in and around it. But it's a big step. It's a big ask for these guys to come in and contribute. That's not to say that they won't, because there's every chance that they will have to. But I don't think we can say, well, there's a regular scorer for the 20s. Let's just go and throw him in. I think the manager will try and find another alternative before he has to go down that particular route.
Yeah, just on Sima as well, some interesting points on him. And one I'm keen to get your thoughts of. He was asked about this just prior to the Betis game, Chris, that we were both at. But first of all, Mark Lynch says Sima does his best work from the left for me. It's a totally different game up against defenders. Keep him on the left. And Chris with an interesting point here. Will we lose Sima during AFCON? Senegal, of course, I'd imagine will be looking to call him up. He's been in scintillating form for Rangers, Abdallah Sima. That is going to be a bit of a problem, Chris, because he will be away for some time. I'd imagine Senegal are a side that will be looking to go deep in that competition. Rangers, I'd imagine, would lose him, well, pretty much January and possibly well into February.
Just another issue that we don't really need. If the Senegal manager, I'm not sure who it is these days, unfortunately, sorry, if he hopefully his TV doesn't get Scottish Premiership action on it, and he's completely unaware of Abdallah Sima. If he's watching, he's been rotten all season. You don't want him in your squad. That would be a real blow for Rangers, because again, we do have at present we do have options that can fill in on that left hand side. Obviously, Matondo being the main one, but Sima has just had such an impressive impact on the side this season. His form's been excellent. His goal contribution has been crucial. So we really don't need to be losing him for long. So if that call does come, and he does have to go away to the AFCON, I wish Senegal no luck whatsoever. I hope they get knocked out in the group stages.
It's Aliou Cisse as a manager. He was a brilliant player in his time. Yeah. So if you're watching Aliou, then Sima is having an absolute mare of a season. So you're better off calling up other players. I've seen another comment saying Cyril Dessers might be called up as well with Nigeria. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case as well, Chris. But I'd imagine Rangers come January will be looking to sign reinforcements. Brian with a point here, he says, do you think we'll target 2 strikers in January in what can be a difficult window? It is a difficult window, but Rangers need 2 strikers minimum for me, Chris, for this title push.
If you'd asked me a couple of weeks ago, I would have said I would have been happy with 1 as soon as Danilo was then ruled out for the length of time that it has been. That then just becomes 2. I say Rangers can't get through this period of domestic games, which also have to be won. There's also European games to come in March as well. They can't get through everything they have to get through with only 1 fit striker. And even if the injury to Roof is not as bad as initially feared, how much faith can you put in Kamal Roof to stay fit for a run of games? Basically, you can't, because history tells us that you can't, unfortunately. So I'd be really surprised if Rangers don't look to try and get 2 strikers in, and I would imagine that would be some of the first deals to try and do. There's obviously issues in terms of the midfield as well. I'd like to see another midfielder in there just to give us another option. The wide right position is something that we've spoken about before. I think the rest of it, going forward, I'd like to see a left back brought in, but that's probably one for the summer. So I think if you're looking at priority positions, for me, it's midfielder just for a bit of cover, wide right again just for a bit of cover, and certainly 2 strikers. So if you could only offer me 2, I would take 2 strikers above anything else, because Rangers need guys who are robust enough to get through the games, and also guys who are good enough to score the level of goals that we're going to need to challenge on all fronts.
Yeah, there's been a couple of names been mentioned. We'll get to them shortly. First of all, thank you very much to David McFarlane for a really generous donation to the channel. Thank you, David. He says, Merry Christmas when it comes, lads. Am I right in saying by the winter break, best case scenario, 1 point ahead of Celtic, worst case, 5 points behind with a game in hand? Well, Celtic have got a number of games starting off tomorrow. They're at home to Livingston. Then they go to Dundee on Boxing Day. And then it's the Old Firm game on the 30th. They round up their festive fixtures with a trip to Paisley to take on St Mirren on the 2nd of January. I think I was on with Johnny on the Q&A show yesterday, Chris. I said if Rangers go into the winter break 2 points behind, I would take that at this stage. Would you?
Yes. When you consider the situation that the manager inherited, and going through that initial run of games, knowing that if anything was dropped, it was basically game over. If Rangers had fallen 10 points behind, if it gone into double figures, it's probably game over. It's very, very difficult to come back from that, no matter how impressive your January window is, no matter how impressive your form is in the second half of the season. You're relying on a lot of pieces falling into place to claw back a double-digit deficit. Obviously, the last couple of weeks, it's been good for Rangers. We've held up our end of the bargain. We've managed to win our games. Anything that Celtic then drop is also a huge bonus. It has changed the dynamic heading into the Old Firm game. Again, 6 weeks or so ago, you were thinking Rangers maybe need to go to Parkhead and probably win that one. Now, you would take a 0-0 draw and get yourself back up the road, and it's no harm done. I think the situation now, you could almost afford to lose the Old Firm game and still find yourself well within the title race. And also, that's not the scenario that anyone is hoping for. That's not what anyone is aiming for. But that's how much the dynamic has changed in the title race over the last couple of weeks. Celtic don't look as impressive as we thought they would do. Also dropped a couple of points in successive weeks. Those are games that you round off for them there, Derek. They're not shooting in ones. There's potentially a couple of tricky ones in there, certainly the away games. But Rangers have to go into it thinking Celtic will pick up maximum points in every game apart from the Old Firm game. And all we can do is hold up our end of the bargain, keep doing what we're doing. And then after the Old Firm game, obviously then quickly into that game on the second. By the time we get that one out of the road, it's then just a chance to really take stock, see where we are, see where Celtic are, see what business is done during the January window. But the last couple of weeks have really put Rangers in contention. And anyone that thinks Rangers aren't in the title race, I think they've got the wrong end of that particular side, because Rangers have done enough to show that they can be challengers. I think they've still got things to prove to show that they can be champions, and they still need to win big games, going to Parkhead and winning would be a great one for them. They've still got things to prove, still got improvements to come in terms of the squad, but they've done enough. They've held up what they had to do over the last wee while, and the manager's impact has also been huge. So no, I think fingers crossed it can be another impressive couple of days for them, another encouraging couple of days, and then after that we'll see. And just before I finish that answer, David, thanks very much for the information to the channel, and Merry Christmas to yourself as well.
Yeah, hopefully have a good one, David. Thank you for that. I know Rangers have got two tough games coming up, but I've just got a good feeling heading into that Old Firm game under Philip Clement. He's getting a tune out of these players, but I know his hands are tied with who he can pick at this moment in time. But this is a different Rangers team to the one that he took over a good few weeks ago. Just on players that were mentioned in the January transfer window, there's been a bit of noise with regards to Wolves' Fabio Silva, Chris. World's greatest DJ says it's a loan deal for him, just paper talk. He's worked with their director of football at PSV, Niels Koppen. He was on loan there. He joined PSV on loan back in January of this year. Spent time on loan as well at Anderlecht prior to that. It's not quite happened for him at Wolves. He joined them for a crazy fee, £35 million, no less, from Porto back in 2020. But it's not quite happened for him down there at Molineux, 21 years of age. I've seen rumours suggesting Rangers and Celtic linked with him. This looks like it. Possibly agent stirred up stuff, Chris, but he's one of a number of players I'd imagine will be linked. The point being raised there that he has worked with Niels Koppen before. Fabio Silva, for you, would you be welcoming him to Ibrox in January? When
was the last time we signed a £35 million rated striker? Well, if ever, he's a name I saw doing the rounds online yesterday. I've not had the chance to check it out, so I can't confirm nor deny. But as you say, Derek, anyone that's linked with Rangers and Celtic immediately has a slight dubiety about it. It just looks like a bit of agent talk trying to drum up a bit of interest. He's clearly a good player. He's clearly got talent. Has lost his way. That move to Wolves clearly hasn't worked out for him. You would like to think, given the level he's played at previously, he'd be able to come into Scottish Premiership and do a job. But I don't know if there's anything in that one or not. So I wouldn't want to talk it up or knock it down too much until I have a chance to check it out. But certainly, it's an area of the pitch that, as we've just said, it's an area of the pitch that Rangers are going to have to strengthen. We will see a number of strikers linked with the club over the coming weeks.
Yeah, Amad Diallo was the last multi-million-pound player that the Rangers brought in on loan. Of course, Man United paid big bucks for him to bring him in from Atalanta. He was coming on to a game at Amad. I would have liked to have seen him extend that loan, but there you go. So that Fabio Silva, a player that has been linked to Rangers. Interesting point from Jay Burgoyne as well in terms of outgoings, but he says, who can you see going out in January, excluding loans? If they can get a buyer for Sam Lammers, Chris, I think that would be great. I would be keeping Sergio Dessers. If you asked me that a few weeks ago, I would have been saying if you can find a buyer for Dessers, then great as well. But I think I'm quite happy about keeping him in around the squad now. I think he is getting numbers, so he is a good option. And at this moment in time, Rangers' only option. That aside, any others that could be heading out the door, I would have said Kieran Dowell last week. If Rangers can bring in reinforcements in the midfield area, then I think Kieran Dowell will move down the pecking order. Any others you might see heading out the door?
I don't think there's that much fat in the squad these days. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of guys you can say, well, they're definitely completely out of the picture, because the injury situation has changed the picture that much. As you say, if you said a couple of weeks ago, Kieran Dowell, has he got a future here? It'd be no, he's one that can move on, but he's now in line to start the whole firm game just because of how things have changed. So I don't think it's a case of there's guys who are definitely on like the top list. I think if there's potentially guys in the squad like Dowell, like Ridvan, perhaps Lammers, certainly. If Rangers can get their money back on them, I think it'd be daft not to take it, and then you then give those funds to the manager to try and reinvest. But as a couple of comments I've said this morning, the January window is not that great. It's a tricky window to do really good business in. So going back to last January, people were expecting a lot of things to be done. Ended up just being the two, Raskot and Cantwell. Both have come in and did really well second half of the season. If they could do deals like that again, that would be great. But I don't think there's guys who are that far out the picture anymore that they're definitely heading for the exit. But again, it'd be interesting to see just how they try and manage the budget. I don't think it'll be a case of the manager has to sell before he can buy. I think the board will do what they can to try and give him the financial backing that he's looking for. But there's clearly players there who don't have a long-term future. Like going into next season after that, there's guys that can be trimmed off the squad. But just with the situation and how delicate it is at present, I don't think we'll see a whole raft of outgoings.
No. Me neither. Point coming in here. Well, first of all, John Keane gets in touch, said, "Good morning, guys. Merry Christmas. Great to see Derek a few weeks ago on the train. Great chat. We are still unbeaten since then, Derek. All the best. It was great to meet you too, John. I'm sure you enjoyed your trip up, even though the Aris game wasn't the best, it's fair to say. But yeah, it was fantastic to have a chat with you on the train. This news that emerged yesterday as well, Chris, I'm keen to get your opinion on now. I've tried to do a bit of research into it. Big news, not only affecting Rangers, but the whole of football yesterday. Ian Ross with the point says, what's the story with the new European Super League that has raised its head again, guys? This was a ruling yesterday that's basically given the green light for the European Super League, pretty much. Ruling from the European Court of Justice stated that the world and European governing bodies, which are FIFA and UEFA, had abused a dominant position by threatening the Super League clubs and their players with sanctions and exclusion from major competitions. It said the rules that demand prior approval for inter-club football projects were unlawful, and that their exclusive control in negotiating commercial rights for competitions was restriction of trade. So it's been given the go-ahead pretty much now. Pretty much shortly after that, Chris, A22, which is an organisation brought in to sponsor and assist the creation of the Super League, produced what a sort of amateur-looking video of what the Super League would be like. It looks, I can understand where they're coming from, but it looked very amateurish. I'm sure if they're spending millions and millions of pounds on things, and they could have thought of a better sort of presentation than that. However, what does this mean for the likes of Rangers and other clubs going forward? I'm not entirely sure at this moment in time what the future of the game will be. I know that Barry Ferguson has been writing in his newspaper column this morning, saying he's concerned with regards to the Super League. He says he's a bit wary about the potential consequences and what it might mean for the future of Rangers and Scottish football as well. We just have to sort of bide our time and see what's going to emerge from this, Chris. By all accounts, it looks like it will be 3 leagues. I've seen that the Real Madrid president saying it'll be clubs will be there on merit and sporting. I'm not sure sporting integrity was used, but sporting merit, and it's all a bit confusing at this moment in time. But it certainly looks like the world of football is changing. Whether that's for the better or not, it remains to be seen.
I've not seen anything from these proposals that would suggest it's a good thing. I would highly doubt you'll get any proper football fans who will be all for this. It's another football money grab. It's another example of the richest teams looking after the richest teams.
Yeah.
going after sponsorship money, going after TV money. I think the only good thing to come from yesterday after the ruling was a number of big clubs, like major players on the continent, did come out and say that they were in favour of the current status quo. That doesn't mean to say that there wouldn't be changes at that level of the game going forward. There's just because a club is saying we don't back this particular development doesn't mean to say that there's not going to be movements in the background. But I say I'm not for it. Don't like it. If it happened, I doubt I'd even watch it. I found my Champions League viewing over the last couple of seasons even tailing off. I think the number of times you would sit and be glued to a Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night when Rangers weren't playing, and sit and watch all the European games. I found myself the last couple of seasons no real interest. Even the Premier League down south of number of Super Sunday games or the Monday night football games, I find myself not really that interested. You have it on in the background rather than making a point to go and sit and watch these games. So I'm not overly enamoured with these proposals. Hope it doesn't happen. If it does, I hope Rangers are nowhere near it because I don't think it's good for the game. And if you imagine if Rangers did get involved, now we're a club who rightly have a demand of winning, of challenging for trophies. If you end up in one of these groups with some of the mega clubs in the continent, you're not challenging for silverware. You're not winning games of football most weekends and most midweeks. So again, from a Rangers point of view, and I dare say from Celtic's perspective, the money on offer is obviously transformative. The money would be great, but there's very little to attract me to the whole thing. So hopefully this is as far as it goes. If it goes any further, they won't be getting my subscription money from me to watch it.
No. Me and you both. It'll be interesting to see what happens with regards to it. But one to keep an eye on, folks. The Champions League format is changing next season as well, and it looks like dramatic plans could be about to come also. So yes, one to keep abreast of. Right, I think we'll wrap up there. Just a reminder of what's to come. We've got the press conference this afternoon when we'll hear from Philip Clement and a player ahead of Sunday's game, huge game at Fir Park against Motherwell. We hope you can join us for we'll have the press conference reaction. We'll also have all the latest from Philip Clement and the player on the YouTube channel and everything they had to say on the website as well. If we don't speak to you again, folks, have a great Christmas. We will be back next week as we build up to the game against Ross County. Here's hoping another 3 points to the good in the marathon, as Philip Clement likes to call it, and looking ahead to that game on Wednesday night against Ross County. But thanks very much for all your support throughout the course of the year. It's much appreciated, and we'll speak to you a little later on. Bye for now.